Hey everybody, Kyle Goth here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and I've got my quick reaction to the new film, Bobi Wine, the People's President. This is about a Ugandan musician turned political opponent turned presidential candidate during the 2020 election there. The previous, or I guess the incumbent had been in power for 3 to 3.5 decades. And this is a documentary basically going about Bobi Wine's transition from being, just a kind of a political musician in some ways to really fighting for the people and facing off. And it's almost in some ways, there are things that it ties into how our own 2020 election went, especially around COVID, around misinformation, political parties that were throwing things back and forth that made it difficult to figure out who to trust, who to vote for. But then you also have a film, Navalny, that was on HBO Max. I think it was an HBO original film from last year that was about Russia and their election and Alexei Navalny's attempts to try and actually have a free and fair election. And so you see a lot of those kinds of similarities. This film, I think, delves in a bit more in terms of... This film dives into a bit more because I feel like prior to, like, Navalny, I think kind of starts with Navalny as a political opponent. This film starts a little bit earlier with Bobi Wine and kind of how he got into doing music and how he got into, like, very quickly running through that kind of stuff. But it's enough where I feel like, okay, we've got a bit of an understanding of this person going in. And it runs kind of concurrent to Navalny in terms of, the politician in charge, the head guy of the country, is punishing anyone who says otherwise and making up misinformation. Sorry, my cat's not feeling well. He keeps sneezing all day. Hey, buddy. You get your incumbent who doesn't want to lose power, and he's basically just lying about his opponent in an effort to get him arrested, get him off the campaign trail. And in that way, it's a frustrating watch, but it's also just a really important watch because, this kind of stuff in America, we tend not to think too much about other countries dealing with the stuff that, we've had to deal with in the past. But our own country has confronted democracy in recent years, I think, closer than a lot of us are willing to admit. And so seeing this film again reminds us how difficult it is for those countries that have fallen out of democracy or have struggled to gain it to begin with. And I think that's what makes it a fascinating watch and a difficult and frustrating watch at times because, if you go into the film, you can figure out rather quickly, if you know about it, how it turns out. I tried to kind of stay away from it just so I could let the documentary speak for itself. I knew a very small amount of this story from certain news articles here or there, a little bit of my own research, but not a lot because it's one of those things. Outside of America, a lot of other countries know what America's up to. Inside of America, nobody seems to know what other countries are up to. We don't really educate ourselves on world news in that way. So I'll be honest and a little embarrassed. I didn't know most of what was going on in this film prior to seeing the documentary. And in that way, it's a very compelling documentary and a very fresh look at a part of the world that we don't often spend time in as Americans. And something I definitely recommend. It's a Nat Geo doc, so I would assume it's probably going to make its way to Disney+. But I believe it opened August 4th. So you can catch it kind of floating around at different theaters for the time being and eventually probably make its way to streaming. So let me know your thoughts on Bobi Wine, the People's President, down in the comment section below. I really do appreciate you joining me for this. You can check out GoatFilmReviews.com for my many written reviews. You can find Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. You can also find me at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. I'm over on Threads now. And you can also check out my other show, Kyle and Nick on Film, that I co-host with Nick Plotchuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. We have new episodes every single week of that. All those links are down in the description. Make sure to like and subscribe. They really do help support the channel. Like, you don't know, especially a channel that's as small as mine, each subscription does help me kind of get a little bit more ability to talk films with you. It adds to the level in which I'm able to have these conversations and take the time to do so. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining me so very much, and we'll see you next time.